What's growing on? I'm Brandon, and this is the Greening the Desert Project. Have you ever heard of ecological succession? Well, if you haven't, don't worry. It's a pretty simple concept. And it really just more so entails the constant change that we see in nature from season to season, year to year, decade, centuries. And really for ourselves, when we come onto a property or a landscape, we're getting to see a certain phase of this succession. Now there's two different forms of succession. And so we've got the primary and then we've got the secondary succession. So when we're talking about primary succession, this is really looking back into prehistoric times or during glacial periods or volcanic periods essentially. And actually what we can observe in our landscape and where we are in northern Arizona, this all used to actually be a volcanic area. So when it comes to primary succession, we're really looking at this initial devastation. So when earthquakes, maybe less so earthquakes, but fires, volcanic activity, glacial receding, or meteors impacting. But all of these actually contribute to the primary succession because it's essentially wiping the slate clean. And that's kind of the cool part because it actually hasn't been that long in Arizona history that a lot of these volcanoes have been active, or the last time there was major eruptions. Which up towards Flagstaff, yeah, there's still actually some active volcanoes. And that's really the cool part coming to our landscape is we actually get almost that example of a primary succession in a couple different ways at least, because for one, we know that our area used to be an active volcano field. And even though this area definitely has gone through centuries, a lot of things have happened in between with nature, but just looking at our landscape, we've got so many rocks and all this gravel and sand. So we're really looking at some of those symptoms you could think of a primary succession. Which primary is important in itself because this gives the jump start for life. It's a clean slate. There's nothing competing. We have all of this access to resources and nutrients. So that's one of the examples we get to see on our landscape, which is really cool, is the lichen. So this symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi, basically. And this is what we get to see coating all of our rocks for the most part in various diverse colors, which is really cool. But you could really think that these are the pioneer species or the pioneer strains that are going to lead the way for turning a lot of these rocks into the gravel that we see and eventually into the sand and then into the healthy soil. So really deep diving into all of this, the microbes, the microbiology, the soil microbes and so on, all these guys played a really big part in the development in the beginning of things. But they also contribute a whole lot just to the function of the ecosystem that we're in here. And of course, the microbiology is playing its part and all over the place, all over the world. So really, that's the cool part looking at our landscape, what we started with in 2024, and all the different diverse earthworks that have been done throughout the years. That's something that I've really explained as kind of the benefit to our landscape is that we do get to start from a relatively clean slate. Just with having sand and gravel, we have a lot of really good drainage, and especially looking back on the monsoon seasons and just all those rainstorms, observing where the sheet flow was happening, but also observing where the water was able to penetrate a lot quicker and there was less sheet flow going on. These were just some of the indicators or clues you could think for understanding our landscape and understanding the soil composition in a lot of these different places because we can't, because we can't necessarily do the same things to every location. Let me get this fly really quick. There we go. So we can really get good identifiers for how to strategize the landscape, which I've already shown throughout the years, just how I've really put a lot of focus on the southern portion in creating the diverse and various earthworks and getting a lot more of the cover crop and native grass seed mixes thrown in on this section. And that's really because we're running into a very shallow soil layer. It's hitting rock pretty close. And that was providing, in the previous years before we got here, a lot of sheet flow action. So in that sense, creating all these earthworks on our southern portion has really contributed, in my mind at least, to stopping and slowing a whole lot more of the water than previous years. I think that's kind of obvious maybe too. It's like once we block and put all these dams up and start blocking all the water, we're going to get more of this water soaking. We're going to have more of the capillary effect that's going to help spread that water out. And I think that's the really cool thing coming into season 3 now with the rotational grazing. So you could look back on the videos. I've already done a couple talking about the rotational grazing. So we're still continuing that on the southern portion, but with all this vegetation that's starting to grow, this is tying into that succession period basically. So moving past the primary succession, we can kind of step into the secondary succession, which secondary succession really more has to do with something that's already established. So our property is probably a good example of that secondary succession, because I have talked about in previous episodes about I've found the evidence of a forest fire or a lightning strike or something that happened, but our whole southern portion really is partly the result from a fire that had happened 50 to 100 years ago. And that's the cool thing in understanding even the timeline, because knowing the lichen, that lichen takes a long time to even build up to a sizable to a size that we're able to perceive, at least. So knowing and seeing the lichen that's on a lot of these burnt and dead trees, we could definitely make at least somewhat of an educated assumption or guess that this fire happened 50 to 100 or so years ago, and it's pretty much been doing the same thing for the last century. But that's a part of the secondary succession, because that pertains to the fire activity that we had that basically cleared the way. It burnt a lot of trees, it burnt a lot of grass. And we can witness that all over the world and understand how fires have gotten a little out of control. And that's partly because of a lack of management, and we haven't allowed things to burn properly and in a balanced way in the ecosystem, essentially. Just remember, nature likes a little management. It likes a little haircut, a little beard trim, manicure, pedicure stuff. So don't be afraid. So that's actually the benefit that we're going to run into with our landscape, and just observing the last 2 years, almost this pretty quick development or this quick succession that's happening. We're starting more so now with a lot more weeds that people might think, but just a lot more native vegetation that has started to take hold, which is just the really cool part to observe, that we've been able to influence and see this bigger diversity of vegetation start coming up than the previous 2 years. But it's also that I'm observing that there's a lot more starting to get filled in, which even if any of this vegetation does die or keel over during the summer, it more so just is a positive, because we're getting more organic material. We've got roots penetrating and breaking up the hard pan and the ground itself, making space for other vegetation and new grasses and stuff to grow. So really, when we're looking at either successions, this is really what is kind of the stages you could think of developing into more of a healthy forest system that we see in other places around the world. And that's why geology is also important to know, and understanding our soil and the compositions and what is going on, because the geology will give us an indication of what has been growing and how this landscape kind of deals with the vegetation. And I more so just mean that because of our rocks and how our landscape is, even our surrounding landscape, it really does imply that this has always more so been a sporadic prairie open spaces, but a diversity of tree and woody shrub species as well. So woodlands, juniper pinyon pine woodlands, this is really the succession that has been kind of building up in this area for a really, really long time. And I think that's kind of the cool part with showing what's going on here, because the examples with the earthworks, the rotational grazing, just the soil management, and just the management of the property in general, this will really give a good idea in the sense of the succession and how we actually can speed things up in almost a 50-to-2 ratio kind of aspect, where we can take 50 years of natural progress and really dial that down and speed it up to 2 years or 3 years, 4 years. So we can really speed up the process by doing a lot of these basic things. And it's really just the things that nature does naturally when there is a balanced ecosystem. So we're really going to start sparking nature's memory of what it had already been doing for centuries and eons ago, basically. And so just like smelling the fresh bakery cookies that bring it back to grandma's kitchen, that's the same thing that we're essentially going to be doing with the nature here by laying down the mulch, by managing the animals and the rotation, by trimming the trees, the chop and drop method, getting more grass seed planted, restoring the soil health. I mean, overall, this is really going to spark and advance the nature all around, just because we're providing all these good conditions, so to speak, for things to sprout up. But in a sense, the nature knows that it is getting all of these good things, all of the inputs that it wants to spark more life. So I think that's the really important thing, is life always finds a way. And in that sense, this is the memory of nature, where it wants to keep growing. It wants to keep promoting more of the stuff that it had been doing, but it also wants to advance it and evolve it, develop it. So that's really where we can come in, and we can speed up the development, but also play our own part in developing and helping develop the nature too. And in that sense, it's really our own thoughts are already interacting with the nature. We're implementing these good intentions, and so nature is receiving that and understanding what we're trying to do. And so it wants to be on our side, especially if we have common goals here. So the same goals that we might have for a landscape, the nature also has the same goals. It wants to promote more. It wants more. Nature abhors a vacuum, so everything's trying to balance out. So coming up on season 3, at the end of the year, this will be our 3rd year here. But we've essentially gone a month and a half without any rain, and we've been getting all these nice, warm, hot temperatures. But that's the most curious part, because I've been seeing this really vigorous, constant growth, as well as a whole lot of new vegetation growing, which is super cool to see, just to see everything that is starting to fill in. And if you can't tell, this is an area, a little bit of a control area, you could think, because we also have our neighbors. We've got kind of some control areas to work with. So this is essentially what our landscape looked like to begin with. Very little of anything except rocks, dust, sand, sediment, and lots of big boulders. And now with implementing the rainwater harvesting structures, which are going to capture and harvest the water, obviously, and sink it down into our nice soil checking savings account, putting that water coin into the soil bank. It's a really good savings account. Makes some good interest on that. Compounding interest. So farming the water, but then also farming the microbiology in the rotational grazing, and then satisfying the goats as well. So all these little basic practices of land management can really make a big impact, but also I think we're going to start seeing this bigger compounding effect. And this is really just going to enable more moisture to saturate and sink into the ground. So we actually might end up seeing less sheet flow during the monsoon seasons, or just when we get the heavy downpours, because we're getting way more saturation. But just the benefit of having this rocky, sandy soil, that's where getting more organic material, the more we can keep getting into the ground, the more that we keep creating this sponge. And this is all coupled in with being a lot more self-reliant and self-sufficient here. So being able to provide our own water, provide our own food source, and then also rejuvenating and building up our landscape so that it can essentially start working for itself, but in turn really start benefiting us in the long term, as long as we continue the management, the inputs, and the good intentions. So really looking at succession in nature just takes a long, long time. So in that way, we can really look at how long it takes nature when it's just left to its own, and we can start comparing and seeing the impacts that we can make for the better that also just speed up this whole process, but get things back to balance in nature, but also start creating this abundance that just keeps compounding and growing over time and essentially rippling out and spreading. So hopefully all that made sense. We covered the primary and the secondary succession and kind of showing the examples of how things are slowly changing around here and just building up, and being a part of that succession is just really exciting to see for ourselves, especially when we can speed up the process and see a whole lot more of the change in a quicker time span. And speaking of speeding up the process, there's still a whole lot growing on our north portion too that I haven't talked about yet.
It's a high desert pirate's dry, crusty old tale, and we've laid out the earth as we open our sail. We rode the dry sands to a place of our own, to green a new desert and bring a new tone. It's the winds of the mountain and the groan of the storm. It's the nature's demands that we look to its form. As we look to the sky and we stand at the ready, the captain stands strong, keeping ship and crew steady. We're raising the banner of a rare emerald leaf, 'cause we're the outlaws of this dry highlands reef. With Growtreeorganics, the flag on the mast, it's breaking the chains of this sand and stone cast. We don't follow roads, we follow the rain. We're pumping green life back through a dry hollow vein. It's Growtreeorganics, trusting nature's design, catching the riches that fall